It's the quarter pounder world, and we're just living in it. Let's get to it. I hope I win, but it's going to take his team having some problems like last week, and it's going to take my team really putting some things together, including some guys who haven't.
Yeah. Hey, man, the season's over. I've given up, right?
What?
Welcome to the Chuck&DavePod.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm Dave.
This is the pod.
This is the pod. Welcome.
3 weeks down.
3 weeks down. 3 wins in the book.
3 wins in the books.
Man, looking at that old video of myself giving up on like week 6, I'm like I don't even remember. That was a lifetime ago.
I'd say the early returns on the draft trades are going pretty much as we thought.
It's been pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty happy about where
you got your extra picks.
Right
your
now.
team has been very solid. Have you even scored less than 130 yet this year?
Nope. I've hit 130 every time at least.
Gotta feel pretty good.
It's a different feeling. I really haven't felt this way since 2018 was the last time I think I won in 2018.
You won the championship in 2018, but that wasn't the last time that you've won game.
No, I think I was actually first seed in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking back because Josh brought up the whole how many times is the first seed won the championship, and I kind of looked back and I was like, I think I was either first or second seed in 2020 because
we talk about that usually when we get towards the playoffs. We'll do the stats, but it used to be pretty bad. If we go back to 2016, Mystery David was the first seed and he won. In 2017, Jordan was the first seed and he finished third. In 2018, Sam was the first seed and he finished fourth. In 2019, Josh was the first seed and he finished third. In 2020, you were the first seed and finished third.
Mm-hmm.
2021 was the first time they won. Jordan was first and won. And then 2022, it happened again. I was first and won. But then last year, I was first and then finished fourth. So traditionally, the first seed has not been what you want. Although things are different now. This is only our second year with the 6-team playoff.
That's true.
It also comes with that bye that guarantees you.
That is true.
Top 4 finish. So
yeah, it's kind of nice.
I told my wife earlier this week, I was like, it's not a great year so far for the Puffins, but as long as I make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty easy considering I don't know if Jordan's going to be tough for Jordan to win any games. So although these
he had a great first week, he would have a win if he had played
anybody else pretty much.
A number of other players there, but it was unfortunate. And of course, Alex is also upset about that game because he did not get to have the biggest blowout. And that's
for some reason he just doesn't want to have the highest scoring team.
No, it's not good enough for him.
He wants to have the biggest blowout.
He wants to be just destroying his opponents, which he was doing a lot last year. And so far this year, it's been a struggle bus for the Lamb of God.
Yeah, it has been.
But, I think that we're taking his thoughts into account. And perhaps this year when we do the end of year awards, we'll have some honorable mentions for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll give him an honorable mention in every.
Yeah, I'll give him a bunch of honorable mentions. No awards, Alex, just honorable mentions.
A bunch of awards that say you were in the top 8.
Yeah.
Of course, we're all still, for those of you wondering, yes, we are all still waiting for those certificates from last year to be mailed.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. They must have gotten lost in the mail.
Must have been. He must have sent them UPS, I guess, instead of FedEx.
Yeah.
Well, we had some breaking news this week.
Yeah, do you want to start off with that?
We had our second trade of the year. It's not completely official yet. People still have until tomorrow to veto, but it does not seem to be too contentious of a trade. Right now, you've got the Appalachian White Latinins sending Pitts and Montgomery to the Puffins, who are sending over Likely and Shaheed.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty fair trade overall. The Puffins really need a running back. And if Shaheed goes back to form, the Lightning could use a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you look at the trade evaluation, technically it looks like Appalachian minus 35 point. Yeah. Minus that 35 point. Although, to be fair, David Montgomery's been sitting on his bench the entire time. It's not like
used him once. The Pitt for Likely, he's obviously going for broke there. 3 losses in the year. His average scores are pretty bad. What has he got to lose?
Yeah,
you got to make some big swings. The thing with Likely is that Andrews is not getting anything either. So at some point, some tight end has to emerge on the Ravens, and it might be Likely. I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell. But Andrews is not blowing. Somebody's got Andrews sitting on their team every week too, and it's not
I feel like maybe Alex. Not sure.
I think it might be Sam actually.
Yep, it is, because it was Andrews versus Kelsey.
Yes, that's right.
The most recent matchup.
So for all the people who say that Chuck is a trade hater, he has participated in a trade. My second official trade.
Yeah, so. And like a fairly substantial trade. This wasn't like a kicker for a defense or something like.
No, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Montgomery. He's been consistent. I was a little worried that maybe he's just too touchdown prone, but he seems to be their goal line guy. So I'm hoping that he can continue to do that. But I also, I was pretty busy on the waivers this morning.
So,
trying to get other running backs too. Maybe a little point chasing. I'm not sure. Devin Singletary, I don't think is point chasing. He seems to be doing much better now. Playing Minnesota. The Chuba is Chuba, right? I got that. We don't want to
Chuba Hubbard, yeah.
I do believe it is Chuba. He might be lightning in a bottle, but it's just hard to tell. The Andy Dalton experience seems to be better for the Panthers. And the Bryce Young experience, I would have to say, is over.
Yep, definitely over.
Perhaps in a couple of years, the Packers will make him their backup, and he'll suddenly do better.
That's right.
We had that, and then of course we had a string of Alex picking up and dropping people.
For what I can tell, it is either he is extremely just not thinking about it, or just extremely.
I like that. This is almost what you would find as a historian going through people's diaries. We get to see his stream of thinking develop throughout the day here. Let's just go through it here. So at
12
before the waivers even began, he dropped someone, if I remember correctly, didn't he? Yeah, he couldn't wait to get rid of Zach Ertz, so he dropped him before the waivers even began.
He picked up Zach Ertz on the 20th, so that was back on Saturday. So he picks up Zach Ertz, then immediately once waivers hits, he just drops him at 10:30.
Not even I'm going to try to pick someone up and drop him. Just I am done with him.
Yep.
On my team.
And then at 2:30 in the morning, he goes a little point chasey. Definitely point chasing, because he had 8 points, 3 points, and now 37 points. Decides to pick up Juwan Jennings. Okay.
Yep.
Then has a good night's sleep. Wakes up in the afternoon after sleeping in, obviously. Drops Baker Mayfield and picks up Andy Dalton. That's okay. That's probably fair. I think that's again point chasing, because it's Baker Mayfield's been playing very well, and he had one bad game, and he just immediately drops him like a sack of bad potatoes.
Yeah, and of course he was playing Denver, who we established last year does not give up points to wide receivers.
Yes. That is true. I mean, you look at it, and then he drops wide receiver Alec Pierce for.
Well, he gives it 45 minutes of thinking.
Yes, it is. So about 45 minutes later, he drops Alec Pierce from Indianapolis, who had 2 very solid games and had 1 bad game against Chicago.
Obviously, you can see here that if you're on Lamb of God, you cannot put up a bad number.
As soon as you have a bad game, you are going to the bench.
You are out.
You got 1 shot. And then he picks up Cole Kmet from Chicago in another obvious point chase.
So all of his so far are taking people who did good for 2 games and then bad for 1, and picking up people that did bad for 2 games and did good for
1. Yeah. And then he
gives it another 45 minutes.
45, 50 minutes and realizes I don't like Andy Dalton.
No, he's only had Andy Dalton for an hour and a half.
And goes, never mind on Andy Dalton. I'm picking up Sam Darnold, which is like the least point chasey pickup of the entire week so far.
Honestly.
Like, I mean, scores 20 points a game. Not bad.
I considered Darnold this week.
Then
how long did he hold on to Darnold?
He held on to Darnold for 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Alex. You held on to Sam Darnold for 3 minutes.
For Lazard.
And said, screw that guy. I don't need a backup quarterback. I'm getting Lazard. And Lazard,
who's going against Denver next week?
Who's going against Denver, who gives up the least points to wide receivers. So
matchups.
Most likely sometime early this morning, like 3 a.m, you're going to see him drop Allen Lazard and pick up Sam Darnold or something like that. So,
I don't know if it'll be an exact flop. I think he's going to pick up someone else. Because there's not even a trend here. It's not like he's dropping QBs for QBs. It's
no.
He did a QB for QB, then he did a wide receiver for tight end, then a QB for QB, and then a QB for wide receiver.
I want to go through what your thought process is, Alex. So you want to type it in chat? That'd be great. By the way, I've been drinking this Oreo Coke Zero.
Ooh,
they somehow bottled the flavor of an Oreo and put it into a soda. It tastes like you're drinking like an Oreo. However, that is not something I want to drink. I'd rather eat an Oreo. It actually tastes not like the Oreo itself. It just tastes like Oreo cream. Like that's all it does.
That's probably a lot easier to make it taste like.
It tastes like they liquefied Oreo cream and mixed it in with Coke and said, well, Coke kind of tastes like Oreo cookies. So that's kind of the same thing. So like it's weird though.
Oh, Alex is driving. That's too bad. We're going to have him call into the show.
Yep.
We have that capability now that we've upgraded?
No. Maybe. Let me see.
But I am looking forward to how his team continues to progress. And it's interesting because the Alex that we saw last year seemed so composed and so pointed. And this year it's just like a drunk bull running through a shop at the Huevos.
Well, he's definitely, I think he's panicking a little bit.
1 and 2 is not fun.
And 1 and 2 is not fun.
And he's lost 2 in a row now, which I don't think happened to him at all last year, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough when you're sitting. I mean, he's still sitting at 5th place because,
points.
There's a lot of.
He's got a lot of points in that week 1.
Yep, he's riding that week 1 high. Still, surprisingly, with all the weird schizophrenic move making he's done, you still have more moves than he does.
He did not lose multiple games in a row ever. Actually, technically he did. He lost the last game of the regular season and he lost the first playoff game. But he did have a bye in between, for what that's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at the standings right now, I guess. QPC is alone at the top.
Alone at the top.
3-0 and 402 points. We got an 11-point lead on the overall point.
So wait, is this we were talking about this last week? Is this the first time in the Yahoo era that somebody has started 3-0?
It is not. Would you?
Oh, come on! I have so excited.
I have stats written up for every team that has gone both 3-0 to start, and for Jordan listeners out there, 0-3, and how their seasons have gone.
Well, let's hear it.
All right. So teams that have gone 3-0 has actually happened a lot less than 0-3. So the most recent time it happened was just last year. 2 years ago when the Polecats started 3-0 in the record-setting year of 2022 there. However, they lost week 4, but finished the year 12-3 and with the championship. So that bodes well.
I'm in good company, I guess.
2021, the Ninnies, God rest their souls, lost in week 4 also. They then lost the next 3 after it and fell to 4-4 before bouncing back to finish 9-6 and finish 3rd place. So he won 3 and lost 4 of the next 5.
Alex, forever going to complain about, like, I eventually people will stop complaining about the unfairity, the disparity.
The unfairity disparity. I like that. Should be somebody's team.
Unfairity disparity. That'll be my theme team or something.
Theme team. He didn't like the trading either. It was suspect.
But I played the game. I'm just along for the ride now.
They had the same
so continue. Sorry. So the Ninnies
in 2021 won the first 3, then finished 9-6 and got 3rd place.
Yep.
The 2020 Bulldogs did it. That was Todd's breakout year, if we remember.
Oh wow, yeah, that was.
He then also lost week 4 and fell to 7-7, and did not make the playoffs, I believe, actually. So
that's no good.
2018. This is the record. Oh, this was the record year. Okay, I'll save that one. Never mind. We're gonna go with the worst case. So this is was the Swampmen was
Josh.
2018, the Swampmen won the first 3, followed by losing week 4. They then lost the last 7 games, finishing 5-9.
What?
Yeah.
Holy moly. That is a rough go.
That's worst case scenario. And then the record was the 2018 Fox Point Ferrets, who won the first 6 games in a row.
Oh, so that's a record is 6
in a row? The record to start a season is 6 in a row.
Oh, that's never. Now, they didn't win that year because I won that year.
Just a couple years ago, you broke Sam's record for the most losses in a row.
I did.
So perhaps you could take ways to go. You got to win 4 more games yet in a row. Take that record. But he then finished 11-3, however, lost both playoff games and finished 4th. So rough time for Sam here. Now, Jordan, here's what you have to look forward to potentially. Last year, we had 2 teams start 0-3, actually. You remember who they were?
Probably. No, it wasn't me because I won.
Wasn't you? You started off with some good scores.
I started off with some good scores and tanked. Probably Kara.
Yep, the Fergals went, and they actually continued to lose all the way to 0-6.
Oof.
Which is the worst start ever. So 6 on both sides. They finished, of course, 3-11 and last place.
Mm-hmm. There's 2. You said there was one other team?
Yeah.
My guess is Jordan.
It was not, because he won week 2. It was the Ninnies.
The Ninnies went 0-3.
They went 0-3, bounced back to 8-6, though. And won their first playoff game to finish 5th overall. So I think that's one of the best you could hope for at this point for Jordan.
Well, so there was one in previous years. Didn't I lose a bunch in a row?
You did some more. You only once did a losing streak to start the season.
Okay.
For 2022, the Hurricanes started 0-3. They went on to finish 6-9 and finished 5th, of course, because that's where they always finished. In 2021, the Hurricanes also started 0-3. They did it 2 years in a row. This time they actually lost the next week and went 0-4 and ended up finishing 5-10. Not a good one. Also in 2021, the McDouble Troubles started 0-3. And then they went on to finish 4-11. In 2020, the Polecats did it and finished 6-8. Also in 2020, the Fergals did it and got to 7-7. Here's your best case scenario for Jordan in history. In 2018, the Gronk Smash, which was
good old Gronk
Jordan
smash
himself, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been in this position. Started 0-4 Then went on to finish 8-6 and finish in second place.
Whoa. Okay,
So,
Alex. If you want to comment, you can do your own podcast.
it's just sad that he's not part of the history,
Yeah.
which I get. But anyway, Jordan, can you do it again? We'll find out later when we look at next week.
Yeah.
Well, shall we talk about last week?
Yeah, let's talk about last week.
Apparently.
Apparently, we need to move on. And I'll get a little ticker from our previous scores so you can.
The new feature we
get
have.
them at your leisure. Yeah.
Brought to you by Wisco Resale.
Brought to you by Wisco Resale.
Oh, when you put it up, you need to have one of those like do.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Like ESPN. Was that ESPN? I think it was ESPN.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. But of course, just for Alex here, before we go on, I think we should take a 10-second break to pause for station identification.
Yeah.
All right. Where do we want to start with last week?
Well, let's do the first on the ticker. We got the
three blowouts and one closer game.
Actually, you know what? We'll save mine.
You want to save that moment?
Save. I don't get. No, I will. We just won't start with mine. Let's do a little bit. Let's do the newly formed Milwaukee Muskoxen.
Yes, actually, it's the return of the Milwaukee Muskoxen.
More return.
Yes, R.I.P. indeed to the Ninnies. And we just got the Ninnies nickname going.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate.
Well, but like so I had heard some rumblings that there were some people that could be labeled nincompoops that were kind of upset about the naming of the nincompoops, and there was a petition started and stuff, and I think he made the right choice.
I mean, that's interesting because where I am here in this area, the local nincompoops are actually very proud of the fact that they were the mascot for the North Shore Ninnies, and they're very unhappy with this change. They feel like they've been slighted.
Yeah. We're gonna get canceled, man.
But welcome back to the Muskoxen, who were last used in 2017.
Well, so I had also heard that somebody's boss, who shall remain nameless, but rhymes with Smilon Smusk, is the owner of the team. So I think there was
because it is an odd callback of all the names he could have gone to. With the Muskoxen, he finished in 11th and 10th. No, 8th. That was the success he had with them. Meanwhile, he won championships as Fox Point Ferrets.
Wait, I'm the Ninnies?
You were the Ninnies.
You were the Ninnies.
Now you're the
this week.
Now you're the Muskies.
You decided to have your own little throwback week.
Did Sam just learn the name of his team for the last 4 years?
Have been the Ninnies? Yes. We've been calling you the Ninnies for a very long time, Sam.
It's a very good nickname. But you could be the Muskies.
Well, anyways, so Milwaukee, so like the Milwaukee Muskoxen versus the Lamb of God.
120-80, 40 points.
Yeah.
What is there to say here? Last year, Alex had only one game the whole year under 100 points. And
wow.
That was in week 4 when he had 96. And he's now had 2 games under that this year. Which
tough.
It's tough. It's tough to go from the top to towards the bottom. But the Milwaukee just keeps on rolling. Honestly, I feel like at this point that Muskoxen are the biggest threat. If I had to revise my championship match right now, I would go with QPCs versus Muskoxen.
Well, somehow he basically took a good portion of my team last year and made them decent. Chris Olave is doing well. Breece Hall is doing well. Calvin Ridley, he hasn't played well, but
sometimes you just need a change of scenery.
He played well last week, Calvin Ridley.
range.
I'm pretty sure I had James Cook too. And I don't know. I mean, I filtered through quite a few players. So
You could have had Brock Purdy if you wanted.
Yeah, I tried to get Brock Purdy last year.
But Josh Allen has been a rock for him 2 of the 3 weeks. 30 points there. Doesn't hurt. Hall and Gibbs have been a great combination. And he even got a 0 in the tight end compartment. He got a 0. He still was able to put up 120. His kicker has been phenomenal. 26, 22, and 15. So he's getting great points out of that. I tell you, people underestimate the kicker. If you have a kicker that can give you 10 to 15 points every week, that is just free points that other people are getting. And then on the other side, it's just you look at his team, and on paper, it's kind of like Kara's last year. Like, it looks like it should work out. He gets a 30 out of Henry even, but then he's on the Richardson roller coaster, which I'm curious how long he'll keep riding Richardson.
Yeah. He's had 2 bad games. I'm actually surprised he hasn't been like kicked to the curb a long time ago.
When you invest high round draft picks, you wanna, you got to stick with those guys. You don't want to shake their confidence. I am shocked that he's still riding with Richardson, especially against Chicago defense.
Yeah.
It just seems like his whole last year was all about the matchups, and this year he's just making questionable matchup decisions. Like, how long is he gonna? I don't know. Zay Flowers, I feel like he's one of those guys who you just hear about a lot and doesn't seem to ever really.
He's not consistency.
Put up that stuff, so you get stuck with: do you play him? Don't you play him? Pollard, he just happened to play the Packers, who apparently have a good defense now.
Yeah, apparently.
That's Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz put up a 6 and then was dropped. Like, that's about as good as you're going to get with a tight end right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty decent. I got Travis Kelce, and I'm like begging him to get 6 points.
I mean, Sam got a 0 on the other side.
Mark Andrews, not one catch.
Nothing.
He got 1 target yet last week.
They just don't like him anymore.
But overall,
just a pretty lopsided game here. Let me see if I have any notes here.
He had I mean, Sam's bench.
Yeah, Sam getting a 0 and a guy with a 1.45 and still putting up a 120 is just, Sam's bench was pretty solid, right? 75 points.
Well, if he would have put Dallas Goedert in, he'd have gotten 20 points with Dallas Goedert.
He would have had a 140. He would have had the biggest blowout.
Calvin Ridley changes with
Johnson.
Deontay Johnson, and
now I can understand why Johnson was on the bench, although I highly doubt Sam was thinking like this, but I can understand why.
Yes,
he was on the bench. He might have to be someone you move in, though. I don't know. That'll be a tough question for him to answer.
I mean, it's Carolina, so it's like, okay,
you very easily could have an issue where it was one of those things where the Raiders just didn't know what was going to go on. Nobody knew what the Carolina Panthers would be like with a decent quarterback, and now everybody will. So I don't think they're all going to put the same numbers, but I think that all of those, like we've talked about many times here, players on bad teams aren't going to be able to do as much. But if they suddenly have a serviceable quarterback, these guys could be okay now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alex's bench did not have much where he could have dug into. The Mixon and Kittle injuries definitely hurt him.
It did hurt.
Because Mixon had been putting up some decent points for him, I believe. Yep. At least the one game he finished entirely.
Yeah, 25, and then
I think he got hurt and went out in the second one, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
Kittle was good against Minnesota, even though they lost. So.
So tough game for the Lamb of God, falling to 1-2. Musk Oxen keep it going, and the only time that the Musk Oxen lost, they got a lot of points still.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly. Back in week 1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Week 2 they lost. They got was it week 2? No, week 1 they lost. Yeah, they scored 133 points and still lost.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting rematch when that one happens again.
Yeah.
Be our championship rematch, or preview, not rematch. All right, what's next?
Let's do biggest blowout here. Fergles versus the Blue Golds.
And I just thought that was a very interesting stat that I stumbled upon yesterday. That the 3 teams that have been on the winning side of the blowouts are the same 3 teams that have been on the losing side of the blowouts.
Yep, that was an interesting stat.
Just hogging all the glory. So that's quite an under on the projection there. Projected 116 and actually scored 68. This is like last year Fergles, and that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and honestly, she is dealing with some nasty injuries that are like secondary injuries. So not injuries that are like affecting her players, but injuries to players on her team that are affecting her players.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the Hill and Achan.
Yeah, I mean Achan and Hill. You'd think I would actually have thought Achan would have gotten a few more looks, but they fell. I think they fell behind.
They ended up putting in their third string quarterback, so all they're going to do is run.
When I think they fell behind so quickly that it was just like,
and that's going to be a downside for them. Is Hill should be, and I don't think they're going to get Tua back this year.
No,
I'd be surprised if it's within 4 weeks. I'd be surprised if it's in the whole year, honestly.
If Tom Brady comes out of retirement and plays for the Miami Dolphins, maybe
you give up that ownership of the Raiders, of course.
But yeah, you're just.
It's very unfortunate, on that front for sure. Now, Aaron Jones
played well.
That's the only bright spot you had. Whenever you score more on your bench than your team.
Well, yeah, and I think it might be time for her to switch to Jaden Daniels. I mean, we can look at matchup.
He's doing well, and he's
been playing very well.
He's less of a roller coaster than Richardson.
Richardson's been, and CJ Stroud, who she has out there, is just been really struggling. Although they are playing Jacksonville next week, that's one of those things where it's like, is this going to be his finally like?
Now the problem with them playing Jacksonville is that it is a divisional game, and divisional games can be closer even when you have a team involved.
Yep.
But if there's a good way to bounce back, the Jaguars are certainly a team to do that with right now.
Yeah.
They're starting to look like a team that might have a coach firing in the middle of the year.
That is true. But I mean, yeah, when you're sitting on the bench, and even though like if she would have added those people, would that have really it would have just gotten her closer, but
out some stuff. Yeah. Meanwhile, never underestimate Todd's ability to drop a big score out of nowhere.
Yeah.
2 games of sub 100 and then a 136.
Man, we talked about last week. We talked about Charbonnet or Carbonara or whatever his name is.
I did hear someone say his name on the radio, and I believe it was Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. Man, oh man, we talked to that. He was probably going to have a big game, and he did.
And let's just again revisit the cycle that got him this guy. He had Walker, the Seahawks' primary running back, traded him away for Najee Harris, who actually got 12 points, which I can tell you from having him last year. Enjoy that. And then picks up Walker's backup when Walker goes down and says, no, I do want that Seahawk running back when they're in the lineup. The way that man's mind works. He's 10 steps ahead.
He is. He's playing chess and we're playing checkers.
He's playing chess and we're playing checkers. Absolutely. He still even had a 1 in the kicker column, but 16 out of that defense.
Yeah.
And really most of the numbers aren't eye-popping. Chase and Charbonnet are really the only ones that got huge numbers. Everyone else just did exactly what they should do. Mahomes even did under it.
Well, Mahomes, I really think that the Yahoo Fantasy people need to reevaluate what Mahomes is capable of on a week-to-week basis, because this was what he was putting up last year, and this is what was frustrating Kara every year. Is like every week was he was putting up 15 points, and she's like, "Well, what's the point?"
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a dink and dunk offense right now. For the most part.
Yeah, a lot of running too. They've been doing a lot with their run game.
But yeah, and fun fact here for everybody except the Fergles, they have now lost 5 straight games to the Blue Golds.
Oof.
I don't know for sure, but I feel like that's the longest active streak.
Yeah.
Right now of dominance going on there. It's hard to do that over multiple seasons to keep having the same result with different teams on things. I think that's second least. Oh, yeah. The Fergles got the second lowest score of the year so far.
Yep.
And unfortunately, are not trending in the right direction. If you look at their 3 scores, the first week was great. And then
It's been slowly
And
declining.
then we going from 132 to 109 to 68. I don't think it's going to keep getting lower.
No, I don't think that was a pretty rotten.
But it's just unfortunately because how many times did we keep talking about the Fergals last year? They look good on paper.
Yep. I mean, I don't know how you got Tyreek Hill and Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs and A-Chain. Like those are like some pretty solid players.
People would be very happy.
Like honestly, that's a really, really solid team on paper. But yeah, it's really struggling. I think she'll bounce back though.
I don't think she's going to have a whole year like that. No. I still think she'll end up with more wins than losses.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go to. We'll end on the phlemoids, but we'll go to the quarter pounders with cheese.
50 points.
Yeah, a 50 point difference, and I got a -1 in my defense.
Jordan also here had more points on his bench.
Yep,
in just 4 players than his entire team.
So it's one of those ones where I don't know if Jordan's team Jordan's team is in rough shape, and he's talked about that to me. About that, it's just like, but he does have some talent there, and he has a way to put up some points.
I would assume he came into the season expecting that, but then he put up huge numbers in week 1. Got the loss, unfortunately, but he put up huge numbers still. The -0.2 out of Stevenson.
That hurts.
Not good. Only 3 out of the defense. But he's still, you got 26 out of Jackson. He's definitely got a key piece there in Jackson. I think Diggs is a nice, solid one there. Yeah. Ayuk is just one of those guys. I don't know. Just doesn't do it. He's got 2 good quarterbacks, I guess, overall.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually got, that was my trade. He asked to trade, not Burrow, but he was going to trade me Lamar Jackson for Jordan Love.
Well, that's what he asked for?
And I had to give him a 7th round pick.
Oh, and a 7th round pick.
I was tempted, but
is he fishing for picks already?
I think so. I mean, that was I would have considered that a little steep, but like somewhat fair, especially because Jordan Love is injured and there's
Let's not get too far ahead of things. 7th round, the extra 7th round you got this year is what gave you Kamara.
It's true.
So don't underestimate the 7th rounders.
It's true.
Looking at your team, it's just all firing on the cylinders right now. You've got -1 in the defense. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
This guy's Teflon. Nothing sticks to him.
Yeah, well, so there was a little bit of smack talk happening this week where Josh said, again, for the 3rd week, I was bailed out, quote unquote, by a single great running back performance. I think that was the gist of his attack on me.
Interesting, because even if you drop him down 18 points so that you get a 112, you still win. And by a lot.
Yeah. So I don't, again, and even last week we look back, and if you would have dropped my guy from Alvin Kamara got 45, but like, let's say he got 15, I would have still been in pretty good shape.
I think next week we could maybe compile Josh's smack talk and have that on the ticker.
That's what we should do.
All the smack talk.
So we should do. And I mean, really, honestly, like he said that a bit early in the week, I think. That was before Prescott, I think, played and stuff. So it's just like you see, like, I mean, Prescott, man, I was sweating, dude. I was like, at halftime, up until the 4th quarter, I saw, because I was watching that Dallas game, Prescott had 6 points. And I'm like, I am done with Prescott. I'm dropping him this week. We're not dealing with him. And then in 1 quarter, he gets like 25 points.
Yeah.
And
you had decent points on the bench there with Cooper still too.
Yeah.
And you're getting the most out of London. I didn't think he was going to get you a lot, but these last 2 weeks now he's done. Kirk Cousins seems to have awoken in week 2, and things are starting to click there for them. I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive here on the quarter pounders with cheese in a positive way. Okay. Like, let's dig into these You had 5 top 25 picks. Like, let's look at these 5 teams and see what's been happening. Now, you actually got 6 top 25 talent because you had Jefferson, so we're going to include him in there as well. So number 1 overall pick, McCaffrey, has given you 0 points so far. Number 8 then overall was Barkley, who has been averaging 28.8 points for you per game. So that was a good pickup.
That was a good pickup.
Immediately after him, number 9 was Drake London, who has averaged 11 points for you per game. Not what you'd want out of the 9th overall pick, but then your 17th overall pick was ETN, averaging 12, but he's also not even been a starter for you every week.
Nope.
And then 25th overall, you took Kelsey, who's only given you 3.6. So he's not a good factor for you there. And then Jefferson is averaging 16, which is solid. So most of your points are not actually coming from all these bonus picks, except for Barkley.
All right, Alex. See, my team's not unfair.
It's just from good old fashioned getting those mid-round picks right.
Now, there could be an argument to be made that if I didn't get those picks, somebody else would, and it would have spread the wealth around a little bit more around the league. So if you wanted to go like a little bit more socialist with it, you could say like, well,
you would. I mean, obviously, I think if Jordan had an 8th overall pick, things would be a little different. And if you had taken Barkley with it, for sure. Kamara has been big for you. You took him 55th overall.
Yeah. Yeah,
which wasn't a result of a trade. So there you go. Unfair.
So it was a trade. It was super unfair. But I mean, like Alvin Kamara was like so overlooked because like he hasn't done anything for like 2 or 3 years.
I mean, I can't imagine that you thought this was going to be.
No, that was like I guess I think he was passed over actually by a couple people, and I think I may have gotten him at like a discount. Pretty much, I was just like, well, I don't like him.
For the points he's been giving you, he was a discount.
He was like, for me, it was more of a, this is probably, I don't really want to take him, but he's better than everybody else.
Got to take someone. He's saying,
yeah, Jefferson
thing. Yeah. Although honestly, averaging just 16 points a week, it's not like that's the thing that's single-handedly lifting your team up. You just get a contribution. Again, like you don't have your number 1 overall pick. You don't have your quarterback. Your tight end's giving you crap. You have a defense that's given you 0 over the last 2 weeks combined. And it doesn't matter. You're getting 130 every week.
Well, let's hope. I don't think that's a sustainable way to win, is having a poor defense. So I may need to be
time to drop the Dallas D.
Ah, man. Yeah, except they're playing the Giants. And I'm just like, man, Danny Dimes is going to throw a few. It.
Danny Dimes lit it up last week against the Browns, who were supposed to smother him. So,
yeah.
Because I took the defense. It did not work out for me.
Let's go on to
this was our game of the week going into this game.
The game of the week.
Game of the week, and the closest game it was.
Is the closest. It was the nail biter. This one went down to Monday night.
It did not look like it was going to be a nail biter. And then all of a sudden, Rashee Rice and Harrison Butker had something to say about that.
Yeah.
And brought it to the point where going into Monday night, I just needed his defense to score less than 0.3. Not ideal. I would have liked to see some more out of Bijan Robinson. If he had gotten me 3-4 more points, I could have had like a little bit there. But either way, the fact that his defense went on for 13 points, I would not have reached 127. I don't think, with my big old goose egg out of Shaheed.
Yeah,
my wonderful pickup that I was so excited to get waking up on that Wednesday morning last week. I'm like, yeah, I got him. He's going to get me big points. And then like I'm listening on the radio and the Mike Florio's like, we got to start saying for now that Shaheed is an elite wide receiver. I'm like, yeah, and I've got him. And then he gets the ball thrown to him 5 times and never catches any.
Yeah, I love that meme where he's just like, pick up Shaheed or Shaheed.
Yeah. Shaheed, they said. Play Shaheed, they said.
Oh, gosh. Star, they said.
If I could have, I would have gone back and put in Johnston or Moore. But again, I don't think either of those, they wouldn't have got me the win. So it's good when your bench can't have gotten you the win. You feel bad when that happens.
Yeah.
But the Flemoids have really turned around from week 1. They had an abysmal week 1 and have been pretty hot the last 2 weeks. It's unfortunate that we have to say positive things about the Flemoids.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because
Harrison started doing stuff. Jay Brown's doing stuff now. I mean, Jalen Hurts was way under what he was projected, and he still got. Honestly, I think they have the highest scoring tight end in Bowers.
Yeah.
So, and Neighbors has really turned into to be something. He took some risks there. He took 2 rookie wide receivers, didn't he?
Yep.
And that.
And it's like again. We talked about it last week, and I'm like, Malik Neighbors, man, he's not going to do much. He's on a bad team because it's like, how the heck does Daniel Jones throw? Like, Malik Neighbors is like the only guy on his own team that Daniel Jones can throw to. Everybody else he's throwing to is on the other team or in the stands, and it's just like.
Well, here's my projection though, is that Danny Dimes will not be a great quarterback for a full season.
No.
So I think eventually the Neighbors ride will be a little up and down, but hey, he got 2 weeks in a row of over 20.
He's playing. They've played Minnesota first, and that they struggled with them.
Mm-hmm.
But then they played Washington, which is still not like any sort of elite team or elite defense by any means. And then they played Cleveland, which again is not an elite team. They got some pretty tough games coming up in Dallas. Even though I wouldn't call Dallas like elite, but like the Seahawks, Philadelphia, Cincinnati.
And the Seahawks are another tough one. They've only played
Pittsburgh
so far this year.
Yeah.
Like they're 3-0 because they're playing bad teams. It's hard to tell what they actually have at this point.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors may help Danny's career.
He better. He gave him a lot of money.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to score you a lot of points. 16 points, that's pretty classic. He may want to consider switching from Jalen. But I don't know. He doesn't really have anybody else. So, man, do you put in DK Metcalf at any point? That's such a risk.
He's up and down. He's been up the last 2 weeks, but and apparently Detroit's giving up the second most fantasy points to receivers. Goodness, what world are we living in when the Broncos are an automatic sit for receivers and the Lions are a stardom?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I had Metcalf last year and he was up and down, but maybe he'll be solid this year.
I think the Xavier Worthy experiment is he's not seeing nearly as much action anymore.
T. Higgins is T. Higgins.
T. Higgins is
whenever Brooks comes back, I don't know when he's coming back or if he's coming back, but yeah, if the Panthers stay good, he could have something there. I wouldn't say stay good, stay competitive.
Yeah. But yeah, well,
that was last week.
Congrats, Josh. That was last week. Yeah, it was a good week.
It was not a great week, but it was an okay week.
Yeah.
I will say here's something interesting. I've been keeping track. The Stud Puffins are currently leading by having 2 favored losses. Yay. And the Flemoids and the Blue Golds each have 2 underdog wins. So they have that. If you add up everyone's projected point totals over the year, like their initial projected point totals, the leader is actually the Fergals with a total of 348 projected points.
Really?
Which is interesting because their overall total points is second lowest.
Yeah, they're always projected. Like Kara's team's projected to score she was projected to score more than I was.
Mm-hmm. But it's been the team's just been not living up to the expectations there. The lowest amount of projected points so far is the White Lightning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they have come true. Another interesting tidbit here, and we've talked about this some in the past. Like, it's one thing that the White Lightning have the lowest amount of points, but how does it always end up that person also has the most points against?
Yes,
and by so much.
It's always, yeah.
It's like 70 points more than the next person.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like that shouldn't necessarily correlate. They're totally independent of each other.
Yep.
But the Musk Oxen have taken over the least points against the Cream Puff Schedule Award. They have taken over that currently.
Yeah.
Followed by the Blue Golds behind there. And then let's just take a peek in. What is the current projection for the AI?
Yes.
Quarter Pounders 13-1. Holy smokes. They're believing the hype.
They're believing the hype.
Believing the hype. They're saying the top 4 are going to be the Quarter Pounders, the Musk Oxen.
They're saying there's going to be that much of a difference. It's going to be 13-1, and then the second place team gets 9-5.
Well, when one guy takes all the wins, everyone else is left with the scraps.
Yeah.
I like that it puts me in the final 4. I'd take that right now.
Yeah.
It did improve Alex. Even though he lost this week, it improved him to 5-9.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing that because I'm pretty sure that their AI is not, I think it just literally takes everyone's setup as currently is and projects everyone else for the rest of the year. So that means that during bye weeks, you're going to have people with just zeros, according to its projections right now on that week. I don't think that the AI is looking at your bench and being like, I think they'd swap this guy in or that guy.
No, probably not.
That'd be a high level of intelligence for it.
Yeah.
So that gets a little bit, what's going on there, but interesting stuff. So that leads us to week 4.
Leads us to week 4. Do we want to take a break? Let's take a quick break and talk about the Pro Pick'ems.
Oh, yes, the Pro Pick'em. Yeah, Dave would love to talk about that this week, wouldn't he?
I would love to talk about Pro Pick'ems this week. Well, and if you guys haven't been doing Pro Pick'ems, I mean, I would.
We have had 5 people doing it each week so far, so that's been fun. It is more fun. I enjoyed winning last year, but just me versus Josh was kind of a little bit less. Like, it was less exciting to look at it.
Yes.
I'm underestimating the AI. Alex thinks that they're smart enough to do that.
I mean, Sam would probably say that too, because
What would Rich say about the AI? Yeah. That's the guy who's on the inside.
That's true. He'd have the inside knowledge. So yeah, I had a little bit of a comeback this week.
Quite the comeback.
Bounce
back, I would say. Bounce back.
Yeah, I'll bounce back. I'll say
you're tied, but it put you in the lead, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean, I got 12 points. Then Josh and Todd got 8, and you and is that Jordan at Apple? No, White Lightning. Yeah, AWL got 7. 12 was insane, man. You guys were saying
on a week where we had so many teams that I think were heavily favored losing. That's pretty great.
I took some risks. I definitely got I got both Monday nights. Yeah, it's
a tight matchup now. Me and you are tied at 28. Todd is right there at 27, and then 24 and 23. So 5 games separates first and last right now. What's that? The Pro Pick'em, Sam, is on Yahoo as well, and you just go through every NFL game that's happening and pick who you think is going to win or lose. You don't have to think much about it. You just pick a team, and then
you can still join in, even though you might just to have fun, because you never know if you'll get some good. It's always fun to go week by week. This was by far the most point. The point differential was the highest between the people that had the Pro Pick'ems. Like the first place, I got 12, and then the closest other person had 8. If you look back, like most of the previous 2 weeks, it was like 11, 10, 8, 8. It would be like 11, 9. So this was a big one.
Yeah, but there's a lot of season left.
Plenty.
A lot of season left. You could honestly, Sam, because I even last year thought I was a survival and only picked one team in week 1 and went 1-15.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It's not a lot of work. You just go down and you could just randomly guess. It doesn't even matter. You don't have to know anything about the teams. Just be like, I like this team's name better. Pick.
Yep.
No, it doesn't. The more you think about it, the harder it gets. You just got to be like kind of a knee jerk. I'm going here.
Yep. And I mean, they give you odds too. So if you want to just go with odds,
you could just go with what the people are picking.
It's true, but
if you want. Well, congratulations on your 12. That might end up being the highest number.
It's the highest number so far, but it is tough.
Getting higher than 12 would be pretty hard.
Well, once we start getting into buys, it'll be much more difficult because
some weeks there'll only be 12 games.
Yeah.
Speaking of pick'ems, how did we do on our own league pick'em?
All right, the Make Fantasy Great Again pick'ems. So I went against my better judgment. I picked Josh, and it worked out. So you got a 2-2. I got 3-1. We both guessed wrong with Kara. Nobody picked Todd this week. So
nobody picked him, and he won. That's crazy.
And he won. Everyone went with Kara. Josh. So there were actually a couple of no picks. Alex forgot to put his in, and Todd forgot to put his in. So we had a couple
of last week. We got to get him a reminder.
Couple of goose eggs there. Jordan also got 3-1, and Josh ended up with 2-2. So
the overall standings.
The overall standings right now are you are in front 8-4. Jordan and I are tied at 7-5. And then Josh is at 6-6, breaking 500.
Join in.
So, and then there's a couple of other ones. Alex is at 5-3, so he's missing one, missing some. So, Alex, no worries. You can always keep picking.
Yeah. There's still
plenty of time for Josh to forget to put his picks in.
Or do it at 7:23.
You can put your picks in now if you got time. So throw it in.
We do it. And Sam, you like the Jets? I think the Jets are a good pick this week.
Yes, they are. I think I picked them.
So looking ahead to week 4, the last week before the buys begin to hit.
Yep.
We can navigate that.
Okay, I definitely am on the wrong. I wasn't even in the right year. I was like, why the heck am I? I was in last year's.
Bring out another year and just blast from the past.
Well, yeah, I was wondering why I was McRibbed. All right, matchups. Let's start with you and Kara.
This is actually the no, it's not. It's not. Never mind. We got the Puffins 1-2 versus the Fergals 1-2. Last year we split it with 1 win and 1 win. I just happened to pull her last year. The week she put up 144.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. Sometimes that's kind of how my luck's been this year. It's a close match. When you look down the things here, obviously the projections are basically 1.5 points apart. It's hard to tell with Achan and Hill where they are. McBride has been known to put up some big points. I think San Francisco is going to do great against New England. I'm hopeful that Miami does well against Tennessee. I've put in Singletary because Dallas has been giving up quite a bit to running backs.
Yeah.
And he's done pretty well the last 2 weeks. So I picked him up. I'm hoping I might, when I get him, I might consider Montgomery instead. Laporta, at some point has to do something, right?
Yeah.
He's questionable with the ankle. Devontae Smith has not.
Is he still just questionable? Didn't he get carted off?
He got carted off and then he came back.
Oh, really?
Says that he
low ankle sprain. Interesting. I kind of
he was carted off and then came back and then left again. So he might not be in which case I'd put in Pitts.
Yep.
Devonta Smith, though, is not moved at all around the concussion protocol, so he might not be there. In which case, I think I would probably try out Johnston. Although that would depend on if Herbert's playing.
Yeah.
So then otherwise, I might have to go with Moore.
Yeah, you could do DJ Moore. I think he
did well last week.
Yeah.
But either way, when I look at the teams as they're currently set up, Speaking of roller coasters, Kyle Murray's a bit of a roller coaster. Maybe I should go. I would pick Darnold, but I don't think Darnold's going to have a great week against the Packers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit different.
But if I look at him here, basically, I give the Fergals the edge in quarterback, tight end, and defense. But it's close enough that I'm not going to pick against myself. So I'm going to take the Puffins.
Taking the Puffins. You know what? I'm going to. Oops, I accidentally. Must have accidentally. Hang on, sorry. I put all the names in your slot. So. All right, you're gonna pick yourself. I am actually gonna go. I think Kara's gonna win. I'd hate to see you at 1-3, Chuck, but I also do need to make up some ground. So
it's a close matchup. I won't fault you for taking her. You picked against me last week and it worked in your favor. But last week I wasn't wearing the stud puffin shirt and I lost again.
True. I wouldn't even wash that thing at this point. You just gotta keep it going.
You gotta hope for the things that you can hope for, you know. I mean, I like Murray against Washington. They give up the most quarterback points. I like that. We'll see. I think a lot of I've got some questions though that have to be answered. So
yes,
I can see you taking the Fergals.
All right. Next we'll do the QPCs versus the Lamb of God.
The biggest spread. Should be betting on if we should be betting on if the Lambs cover. Wow, man. Looking at an Alex team with a projection of only 100 is something.
It's very weird because last year it was like so crazy.
It was never like that. So let's see what I got for notes here. Last year, Alex swept you. You're trying to get your first win against Alex. Are we going to be rocking the Dallas D, huh?
I haven't, I kind of want to just see if they can do something against New York Giants because it's
just tomorrow night.
It's at the Giants. Yeah, I kind of have to. I have a feeling Dallas is going to come back, and I feel like Dallas is going to
What are they going to come back because of their defense, or are they going to just have a shootout?
I hope not a shootout. You'd hope not. We'll see. I think I'll give it one more week.
All right.
And I may be regretting that if I'm 3-1 next week, and I'm like, better defense would have pushed me in the right direction. But
then we would say congratulations to Josh for the holding on to his record there. No, Sam. Sorry, Sam has the record of the most entire season.
He's gonna crack open a bottle of champagne like the Dolphins.
Champagne of beers is what he's gonna crack open.
Yeah,
good old
Miller High Life.
Drink responsibly.
Yes.
I think Prescott will do all right against the Giants, though. So I look at this and I think I wrote this in soft pencil. Gosh. I think that when you look at this, your team just overwhelmingly has the advantage. It would be very hard to seriously pick the Lamb of God and hope to actually get my point. Maybe Jennings goes off again against New England. He could, I guess. It depends on if Kittle's back, probably, or if Ayuk decides to be a bigger part.
Is Debo out for an extended period?
Who?
Is Debo going to be out for an extended period?
Debo's out for a while. Okay. Kittle, although he has Kittle on his team too, so I guess he could try running both if they're in. But it'll be interesting to see there. But I don't think even if Jennings goes off, the way you've been scoring and the way he's been scoring and his team's lining up, I think you still have it.
My only question mark would be, is Justin Jefferson going to be productive against the Packers? As a Packer fan, I hope he's not. As a person where he's on my team, I kind of hope he does.
I hope that he does well and they still lose,
Yeah, I think Saquon's probably going to continue his rampage.
I don't to stop there.
Jordan Mason, I've considered taking him out, but because he's kind of been on a downward trajectory and maybe swapping in ETN. But I mean, it's really a horse apiece at this point.
Yeah.
I'd probably more likely throw Kamara back up there and maybe take Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper is like he scored 2 points and then 3 points respectively the first 2 weeks, and then scored 23.
I mean, you got Connor on the bench.
Although if I'm following Alex's rule, he should be on waivers right now because he scored 3 points last week, and cut him loose.
You should just cut him loose. I would rather have an empty bench spot than a guy who did poorly last week.
If I'm going to probably get rid of somebody, it'd be Tank Dell. He's been very disappointing for me. I haven't had to play him, but he's been very disappointing. Or Jalen Waddle. Like, until they get that QB situation figured out, Jalen Waddle's basically...
Yeah, I don't think they have that position figured out.
He's a T. Higgins. Who are you picking? I'm picking myself.
You gotta
pick myself. I almost always will try to pick myself, but yeah, it's I think I have the best chance of winning, continuing the win streak. So we'll see though. But all right, let's do the
game of the week.
Flamoids versus the Milwaukee Mucksox.
That's not the game of the week, sorry.
Oh, yeah, we'll save the game of the week till the end.
Flamoids versus Muskoxen. Pretty close projection here so far. Let's talk here. Last year, Sam swept Josh 3 times, including beating him in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a little bit since Josh has gotten a sweep.
Are you seeing who I put in? Yes. Alex, we did see who you put in.
The sweet victory there.
In fact, I think it actually got you less points.
I honestly think this game is...
Oh, he put Caleb Williams in. Little point chasey there, and that's not even that much point chasing.
It's not point chasing. The guy just woke up. We just did react to the current team, didn't we?
Yes, but I think he just realized he put in Caleb Williams, and I think that was it. I can't remember. Nico Collins, maybe? Chicago's defense. You're really running hard on Chicago, man. Komet, Williams,
he's a hometown man,
and the defense. So, you're going to live and die by that team.
Hey, that's worked out in the past with people. Sam ran the full Lions backfield.
I think even more now. I think I would pick myself with Caleb Williams as your quarterback. I think I'm going to solidify that win. I may have just highlight my name.
Honestly, why even have the matchup at this point?
Yeah, I'm just
I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the record book and walk away and sleep just fine tonight.
All right, so 2 silver teams, silver teams playing.
I thought this was actually the toughest game to figure out when I was looking through it. They're very close. I give Allen the edge on quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I give the edge to Sam in the quarterback for Breece Hall and in the kicker position. And I give the Flemoids the edge in wide receiver Robinson because the other running back in Washington is out. So he's going to get a heavier load. And I give him the edge in tight end. So it's like everything else I think is pretty even. It's tough.
If we're looking at the matchup, Jonathan Taylor's got a tough matchup against Pittsburgh this week.
He does.
31st.
Who is Yeah, they've gone against some real people too. They went against J.K. Dobbins, Javonte Williams, and Bijan Robinson. So it's not necessarily like they've just gone against cream puffs. So that could be tough. But that's why I took Hall over Taylor, but I took Robinson over Gibbs.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, it's a tough call. The projections are almost a little bit wider than I would think it might actually be. It could be a very close game here.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the Musk Oxen are destined. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Muskies.
I picked them too. Man, that's one I might have to.
Could you possibly pick Josh 2 weeks in a row?
I don't even think that's even allowed in my religion. I'd have to call my pastor.
Why did Sam just say, nah, I'll win when I picked his team?
Nah, I'll win. Yes. I don't know if he realizes that he's the name,
does he?
This is supposed to be a close game. Oh, him and Alex was supposed to be a close game.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody doubts that Alex's score was less than what we would have expected out of them. But I picked the Ninnies last week before they became the Muskies.
Yeah.
Shade. Sam is at Josh levels. It won't be close. I'll win. All you got to do type in now is I look forward to playing you later in the year.
Yeah. No, and this is nothing. This is nothing against Josh. I truly believe that Sam's team's a little bit stronger, just a little bit. It'll be a close game. I think it'll be.
I would be surprised if this one ends up with a big spread, but
I mean, it could go down to Monday night with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That's true.
So we might see something. We'll see.
So you
might. It'll still probably be interesting because I assume there'll be like a 10 to 15 point difference on Monday night. My guess.
For winning. Wow, he's on a roll here.
Yeah, he's got Josh level confidence right now.
That's good. It's good to see him back. It's been a few years since his team's been.
Yeah, it has been a while. Go Flemoids. Ooh, Alex is going for the Flemoids. Probably because he says some sort of revenge pick.
Needs to lose next week.
The revenge pick here. You know what I noticed is you can't really even pick on. You're not even allowed to pick on the They don't even have a pick'ems anymore on the.
Oh, really? Yeah, they used to have the vote for them. Maybe nobody ever used them, so they just well.
Yeah, I guess.
That's
all right,
yeah, we got the game of the week because we have the Blue Golds and the AWOLs, and they're separated by what, 0.3, basically.
Yeah, crazy.
And after the Blue Gold just put up a 136 with basically the same players, they're being projected 100.
Yeah.
So last year, Todd swept. The Blue Gold swept the AWOLs and then lost in, because this is the championship rematch from last year.
Oh, really?
Sure doesn't feel like it, but it is.
Does not feel like a championship.
This is what our championship game was last year. And they're both average. They're both projected to get 100 points.
Yikes!
Dead even. So Todd won twice, but lost in there. These are very different teams. Tight projection. The Blue Golds, I give the advantage in wide receiver, Charbonnet, tight end, and flex. Honestly,
yeah.
Even though the projection are very close, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, he might get a little boost with Rashid Shaheed, maybe.
He could come in and do some good points there. Here's the tough thing. Todd is just as likely to crash back down into the upper 90s again, which then would just require the AWOLs to have a good game. And this, I wrote on here, I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends 90 to 84.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this game ends 140 to 62.
Either one. Neither one would surprise me. Unless it was Jordan getting the 140.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's tough, but I'm going to pick the Blue Golds because I mean, it's hard to get to 0-4, but I just think the Blue Golds are a better team overall.
I would tend to agree with you, I think. Although I'm going to pick Jordan. I just think the 0-3, something's got to give. And I know if my dad was watching the podcast, he'd be like, the statistics they don't owe you anything. But I just have this feeling. I don't think Ramondre Stevenson is obviously the best thing to do against to put them against San Francisco. I would assume you would want to put on. I don't even know if he has anybody that's worth putting out there. Maybe Zach Moss because he's going up against Carolina.
Moss has did well last week.
Yeah, and I think honestly, Jordan, try to trade Alex Roma Dunze.
He wants the Chicago team.
Because he basically just wants a full Chicago team. So if you give him Roma Dunze, I'm sure he'll give you like a first or second round pick. Maybe it's both first and second round.
Whoa, you know he's not giving up a second round pick. That's what he loves the most.
Well, that's Josh.
I know.
I'm talking to Alex.
Aren't you saying that Josh would give Alex the second round pick?
No, Jordan.
Alex will give Josh. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Josh would love a second round pick.
Alex would give Jordan.
There's so many J names, man.
Yeah, I know.
Annoying.
So I think Roma Dunze would be a good trade bait for Alex. Just saying.
I mean, you pair him. I could maybe throw in DJ Moore. Give him.
Because obviously he's not going to have Kyle Pitts, and he'll probably put in likely. He's likely going to put in likely.
Likely. No, he has Njoku.
Yeah, but he hasn't practiced in 3 weeks, and he still isn't practicing.
That's true.
Because he has a high ankle sprain. Yeah, he's out.
That's a bold pick for you there.
It's part of a little bit of I need to make up some ground. Part of
1, 2, 3. Only 4 times in our histories in the Yahoo era has a team gotten to 0-4. So,
I don't think he's going to get 0-4.
But the last time Jordan came back and finished second.
See, Alex was wondering who had a Dunze. Jordan. I'm telling you right now, throw that trade bait out. I think Jordan winning is going to be big. I know my dad is not very high on his team. He was talking about it this week and last week about.
I mean, generally, I have not been on God's team either. He surprised me by putting up the 136.
Yeah,
I'm not high on either of these teams. I would not be shocked if Jordan wins, because the Blue Golds have another one of their more average games. I just feel like they have a higher chance of scoring more than the White Lightning do.
True.
But I respect your decision to pick them. It's not like, well, what the heck are you doing? You're just picking underdogs because you have to. Like, you've got reasons.
Yep.
So that's week 4.
That's week 4. Well,
and should we announce a theme for week 5 since we've got?
Yes. So Chuck and I were talking, and since Josh didn't respond right away to what the theme week would be. Where was that in? Was that in Throwback Week? Yeah. So Chuck had put out yesterday at 6 a.m. that we should think about special weeks. Josh responded immediately and said he was going to throw ideas out there, and it's been 36 hours and still nothing. So Chuck and I, as
this will be
as part of the social media engine of the team, or the the PR coordinators of the team, or this league, decided that, was it week 5, Chuck?
Yep.
Week 5 is going to be, drum roll, please. It's time to oh no, wrong. Sorry, wrong anime. Pokemon week.
Gotta win them all.
Gotta win them all.
Gotta pick them all.
So we'll put that in the
Pokemon themed names and pictures.
Yeah, throw a picture up there. Pick a Pokemon.
You got over 1,000 creatures to choose from,
and just throw it up there. Throw a picture up there, and it can be creative, like like we talked about. I think somebody even brought it up of like having like the Bulldogs be the Snubbles or something like that.
New Snubbles. No, it would be the new
Snubbles. So basically the Bulldog Pokemon. The Fighting Fergles could be that weird Corgi Pokemon.
That new one. There's even lightning Pokemon. There's Thundurus. He could be the Appalachian White Thundurus. He could be the Mount Cornet Thundurus.
I mean, I'd pick Zapdos. Yamper is the Corgi Pokemon.
Yamper, all right.
He's an electric dog type.
There's an ox. Is there an ox one? I don't know if there is. You could be the Tauros though.
Yeah.
So we're giving out free names here.
I know.
Well,
there's Bouffalant. Bouffalant.
Staffies of Arceus.
There's a Buffalo-ant.
Oh, there is the buffalo one. That's right. No, there'd be the Mareeps. The Mareeps of Arceus. I love it. There you go, Alex.
And actually, man, this is kind of weird. There is somebody who created their own Pokemon that's a Musk Ox Fire type Pokemon.
Oh. You know, Carnivine looks a lot like a burger. I think you can pick.
That's true. I don't know.
We need to think about it.
Yeah.
We look forward to it. We'll change our names next Wednesday.
Make a nice logo. I mean, honestly, you just pick your picture of your specific Pokemon. If you want to go,
you could even pick. You could pick a Pokemon related thing that's not a Pokemon. You could be the Rockets, or the Flares, or you could be the Elite Four. I don't know.
So if you could pick them by next Wednesday, that'd be great. Because then we can rate them on the pod next week. But obviously, if you don't, it's not the end of the world. But Arceus, the god Pokemon, that's good.
And you pick Mareep, the sheep Pokemon. You got
the Mareep. So just start thinking about that stuff. I'll bring let's make it a good themed week. I think the only person that probably won't participate that well is my dad, because he probably still calls them Pokemans.
Even he's got to know Pikachu.
Probably no Pikachu, or he might know Pikachu. It's gonna be tough.
Everybody knows Pikachu,
but
it's Japan's mascot.
True.
Get those juices flowing.
Yeah.
That good luck to everybody's team except for the Fergles.
Yeah, good luck to everybody but Josh. I mean, not Josh. Jordan. No, Alex. Alex looking at the wrong one.
Basically, very few people can have good luck for Dave.
Yeah, just nobody except me.
Remember to shop at Wisco Resale for all.
And please shop at Wisco Resale right now. You can get this beautiful custom backlit Pokemon Color or a Game Boy Color. If you see, it's got a Venusaur on it. $200, and I do take offers, so you can throw an offer out there. I'll see it. Not obviously, like, I'm not knocking down 60%, but I consider offers. So, yeah, check it out. They are actually a true sponsor of this show. It has increased the production value in some degree. So,
we're happy to have them on board.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Have a good week.
See you next week.